Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Rainmaker's Roundup. I am your host, Mark Iorio. I'm here today with my guest, David Navazio. David is the founder and COO of Gentell. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Mark.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Let's talk a little bit about Gentell. Tell us a little bit about the company, a little history, how you got started,
Okay. Well, Jeantel is a manufacturer of advanced wound and skincare products. Our market are the long-term care and nursing homes. And then we have an affiliated company, which ties in nicely, called Wound Care Concepts, that provides our products to the nursing homes and bills the appropriate insurance company so that patients can receive these products, these treatments, and nursing homes don't have to pay for it. So it's really a great situation for both the patient and the nursing home.
Wow. How did you get into this business?
I was a student at LaSalle, and
You were in college.
Yeah, LaSalle College, and I was trying to get over a 2.0 average, and struggling. And I'll tell you what, I never really wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never wanted to have my own business.
Yeah.
All I wanted was a new car. Okay, and
That's what all 22-year-olds
my
want.
focus was a new car.
Yep.
And I get a job as a salesperson for a clinical lab. Going to physicians and calling on them and trying to sell the lab services.
Yeah.
And that lasted for about 2 weeks, and the lab, just went out of business. And I never got paid. So ostensibly, I've never worked for anybody. So, one of the physicians I had called on said, why don't you get into the home care equipment business? And I didn't know much about it. And, he said, just get a provider number, and you can provide hospital beds and wheelchairs and, equipment and bill. So I said, okay. So I, got a provider number, took a couple months. And back then it was a lot easier.
How old were you at this point?
21.
Wow.
22.
Wow.
And, I started doing that. I didn't really like the business, but, it was growing, and, I was hiring some people. I was able to get a car. So, I was really happy. And it started turning into a, pretty good business. But the thing with it was, it was that you couldn't do something so much better than your competition. And I'm a big believer that you got to get a niche and really, master it.
Yep.
So, back then we started doing enteral products in nursing homes. That's for people that need, liquid nutrition or, food nutrition that can't swallow. Mm-hmm. And I fell in love with the nursing home business. I mean, real, patients in there that had, really, horrific needs. And just then, and now we're in the 80s, wound care products are developing. Mm-hmm. Now, patients have always had bed sores. You have the diabetic population, and, what would happen is they would get amputated, limbs, or, even die.
Wow.
So infections, and, wound care products, dressings were coming out on the market. And the science of it was really developing because, some products would have, a wound would get better, mm-hmm. a wound would get worse, but there was some interaction that was happening. And that's really when the science of wound care developed. So I decided to just completely focus on wound care. I got out of the enteral business. I sold off the home care equipment, portion of it. And I retained the nursing home portion. And, I started hiring, nurses that were getting certified in wound care. Mm-hmm. And we were going into nursing homes. And we were presenting our program, our products, that we were buying from, other companies, other manufacturers. And the results were phenomenal.
Wow.
Okay, nursing homes that we were involved in, we saw a decrease in amputations. We saw, improved, lesser mortality rates. So, just a tremendous result was happening, and that captivated me. Mm. But later, the federal government decided that, wound care products, shouldn't be reimbursed separately, that it needed to be part of the expense for the nursing home. And I knew that was going to completely end the program.
Sure.
So, I had to go and I had to fight, and it took about 2 years, to convince Medicare, any other insurance companies that this was a benefit and it needed to be considered an ancillary benefit.
Absolutely,
and paid separately. By then, floodgates of competitors came on the market. And since I was spending all my time on the regulatory front, the customers I had, I lost. So the business goes
Yep.
right down the drain. And when that happens, I always call that's like the defining moment.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's where you sit back and you say, all right, I got to make the right decisions. I got to make good decisions.
Yep.
So regrouped, and also back then I decided that I really wanted to start developing a proprietary line of products. That I felt, I had a good handle on wound care, and that's where we came up with Jeantel name and started, getting them made for us, and then we started manufacturing them ourselves and developed a real comprehensive line of wound care products.
Wow, what a great story. Tell me a little bit about how you feel or how Jeantel differentiates itself in the marketplace, David. What's so different about Jeantel versus other wound care products? You got a ton of competitors, as you've said. So why are you so different?
I'll tell you why, because I think there's no company that understands wound care better than Jeantel. And the affiliation with our wound care concepts, so we're able to provide these products like a provider. We manufacture products like a manufacturer, so we can distribute the products, we can sell them, wholesale. But in addition, we develop, some technology that documents wounds. So when we're out there, we see what the deficiencies are. And we saw that there was a huge problem with wound care documentation. Now, a provider's obligated, to make sure that there's sufficient documentation to support, the products that they're providing. I mean, that's, a Medicare reg, and it's an important reg. But more important, documentation is important and necessary in making the proper treatment decisions.
Right.
And we saw that as just a complete, failure between the medical community, between the nursing homes, and that we felt that they really weren't recognizing the importance of documentation. So we developed what they call Jeantel Fast Care, which is a wound documentation program. It takes all of the relevant information and it makes sure that the products that you're providing are appropriate, because every product has a specific function. And you have to use the proper product based on the characteristics of the wound.
Got it. So you're talking about a certified treatment regimen for wound care. And that is a very huge differentiating feature
From our competition.
from your competition.
Absolutely.
So how do you get the word out about that? I mean, would you consider yourself a small company, a mid-sized company? How do you get the word out against the larger manufacturers? I'm sure there's some big competition out there, right?
Sure. In the space we're in, I think we're considered, one of the large players.
Okay.
We service nursing homes throughout the country. We service, close to 1,000, nursing homes. And these are not just, customers that occasionally we ship something to. These are customers where we come in there on a monthly basis with a clinician, to help them with their wound care program, to educate them on our products. And these are, so, it's a lot of nursing homes getting, a certain level of service. But there's no company that combines the manufacturing of the dressings, and really, who knows the product better than the people that actually put it together, that actually make it.
Right, exactly.
There's no company that has this, wound documentation software that's available. And, putting it all together with a clinician coming out to the facility really sets us apart from the competition.
Great. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk to David when we come back after the break about how you get the sales and marketing message out to the consumer. Be right back after this break.
Already in a neighborhood.
Welcome back to Rainmaker's Roundup. Good morning. I am your host, Mark Iorio. My guest today is David Navazio. David is the founder and chief operating officer for Jeantel, which is a wound care products company over in Pennsylvania. And we were just talking before the break about, what makes Jeantel different, right? And you were talking about Jeantel Fast Care, and the products and services that go along with that, David. What are you doing from a marketing and sales standpoint that gets the word out about Fast Care?
I'll tell you, what? I think our company is so great. I think what we do it, better than the competition. And I'm amazed that not every nursing home is using us. I'm just simply amazed.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed that, if we make a presentation or, that we get a no.
Yeah.
But that is the hardest part. I mean, how do we get our message out? I mean, we try trade magazines where we're advertising. We do trade shows. Things that keep the name out there. I mean, we're constantly really trying to use the Jeantel brand as much as possible. We recently hired a in-house marketing department. We expanded that marketing department. She has now 2 team members.
Great.
That work. We do newsletters. We do material. We focus on education. Try to get it out there as much as possible. But where we're getting the most customers is really, the personnel in a nursing home, moves around.
Right.
So if you've got, a director of nursing that's familiar with your company and, they like working with you and they go to a different facility, a lot of times they'll call and they'll bring you in. We have salespeople that are knocking on doors, presenting the program. So it's really a combination of everything. But as time goes on and the more facilities we're servicing, it seems that it's easier, signing on, facilities. In the beginning days, really was a tremendous struggle.
Sure.
I mean, people think that businesses just have a nice, steady incline.
Uptick, yeah.
And I got to tell you, it doesn't.
Right.
I mean, you're flatlined for a while, then you get little blips up and little blips down, little blips up, and then you start moving up.
Yeah.
And you start moving up, quickly. And when that happens, the struggle is you got to really make sure that you have the infrastructure in place, the people in place to be able to make sure that the product is good.
Yeah. So great segue because, over the course of time, what year did you start Jeantel?
Jeantel was officially started in 1994.
Okay. So you've been around for, say, 25 years or so. So the brand is building, right? You're building the brand. How many nursing homes are out there?
Oh, probably.
And is that that's your main
That's
market?
our main focus. I mean, theoretically, the market is a lot more than that.
Right.
But that's our niche right now, and we can later on look into other areas of opportunity. But we want to make sure that we get as many of those nursing homes as possible. I would probably say there may be 9,000 nursing homes across the country.
And you're in how many currently?
We're in 1,000.
1,000. Wow.
Right.
So you've got room to grow ninefold, right?
Right, we got room to grow.
So okay, so you're doing social media, you're doing trade shows, et cetera. But you talked a few minutes ago about those folks who are in nursing homes that like the Jeantel product. They appreciate what you've done with Jeantel Fast Track and Fast Care. Sorry. So they become your brand ambassadors in a sense.
Correct.
Right? And what you want is word of mouth, and that's how that's continuing to build.
Sure.
Right? So what are you doing? Are you doing anything to kind of stimulate that activity within that community? Do you incentivize nurses or anything of that sort?
No. And what we do is, and what we're going to be doing more of is we'll put on educational programs. We invite, different types of nurses to learn a little bit more about, wound care. Wound care really is a new phenomenon in healthcare.
Yeah.
When we look at the demographics, I mean, it's really in our favor because, people are living longer. We're doing great work with the cardiovascular system. We're keeping the patients alive. But, the skin, has limited life.
Right. Yeah.
And, and if you're diabetic, 25% of the diabetic population has a chronic wound. And just, just explain to you the difference and what a wound is. If you cut yourself, it should heal in about 2 weeks. If it takes longer than that, it goes from being an acute wound to a chronic wound.
Okay.
And that's where we come in. If you're diabetic, it's going to take longer to heal. If you're elderly, your skin begins to lose the elasticity.
Sure.
Patients that are not ambulatory, even have a further problem. And the important thing to understand is anytime you have an opening in your skin, that's an entryway for bacteria,
Absolutely, yeah.
For infection. And that's really where the problems, occur.
I'm fascinated by the discussion regarding education and how you go about the educational process. And I would imagine there are continuing ed programs or
Well, they're continuing ed programs for wound care nurses,
Yeah.
and most nursing homes don't have a wound care nurse. We have them.
Interesting.
We have, 32, clinicians that are certified in wound care.
Yeah.
And even in medicine, I mean, physicians, they don't recognize wound care.
Yeah.
It's not a subspecialty in medicine, but nurses, recognize I think the importance of wound care because they have, special certification, special educational programs, and they have the ability to prove proficiency before they can have and maintain their certification.
Yeah. So as patients live longer, right, and diabetes, the prevalence of diabetes is continuing to grow. Type 1 and type 2 both, and 25% of diabetic patients or patients with diabetes
Sure.
have wound care, chronic wound care
Sure.
issues. What is the future of wound care like? I mean, what happens now? How do you get the word out about wound care in the world of, whether it's diabetes or other chronic?
Well, one customer at a time, one person at a time, one program at a time.
Yeah.
We really, try to have our company, our customers rely on us for a source of not just the products, but for a source of education, for the knowledge that we have, so that there is a, comfort level and a methodology and a platform for, if they have any questions in a nursing home, 24 hours a day, that they can, get their answers, from us.
Yeah.
For the benefit of patient care.
Yeah. When you started the business, you have a partner, I would imagine. You get out there, you start looking at your competition. When you're developing these products, are you looking at? I'm sure you've got some pretty big competitors out there in the
Sure.
in the marketplace. I wanted to go back to that question that we talked about a little bit earlier, and how you became so different, with regard to developing the product. Where did that come from? Where did the science of that come from? How does that start?
Well, I mean, it probably started with the evolution of wound care, back in the 80s. And, as I had mentioned, each, product having a specific function, and each wound, reacting and interacting, with the different types of treatment products.
Right.
And, listen, there's a tremendous feeling. I got to tell you, my company, there are so many people today. There are thousands of people that are better off every month because we do what we do.
That's awesome.
How many businesses can talk about that? The people that we hire, the clinicians that we hire, I mean, they know, and we tell them, when your day is done and before you go to bed, you have to make sure people are better off because you're doing what you're doing, and that's
Yeah.
what we do.
Yeah.
And really, that's our biggest, advertising. It's really, results.
Yeah.
I mean, we can come in, I can promise the world to a nursing home, but it's the results that are really going to set us apart, and that's what we can deliver. And yeah, there's manufacturers out there, and they're a lot bigger than we are.
Yeah.
But they don't do the hand-holding that we do with the customer. Okay, they don't do the education. They just have products that are available. And I'm going to tell you this, Mark. There's no magical product.
Yeah.
I'll look at a wound care magazine and I'll see, ads from, large manufacturers, and it's like, oh, well, here you go. This is the complete answer to wound care. Everybody's going to be resolved. That doesn't exist. That is just, pure nonsense. The whole idea of wound care is putting that wound into a natural environment to facilitate your body to heal.
Wow.
Okay, and in many cases, most of the products are, natural components.
Sure, exactly.
So there's nothing out there that's a magical,
magic
that's here we
formula,
come, just use this. I mean, it's a series of technologies, a series of products, and the most important thing is to understand the characteristics of the wound, and we have to teach our customers, we have to teach our nursing home personnel how you recognize, the characteristics.
Wow, that is so fascinating to me. It feels so good to talk to someone who's in a business where, you're helping people and you're watching people heal and become better and survive and live, right?
Absolutely.
After this break, we're going to talk about the future of wound care and where you see Jeantel going in the next after the next break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Rainmaker's Roundup. I am your host, Mark Iorio, and I'm with David Navazio. David is the founder and chief operating officer for Jeantel, a wound care company in Bristol? Bristol, Pennsylvania. Are you an Eagles fan?
I am an Eagles fan. I mean, how could you not be an Eagles fan right now?
I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm sorry.
Well, then I'll-
but I don't like the stay there.
Well, I got to go.
No, stay there. They're playing well.
They're playing
well. I wish them well.
Yeah, I'm really,
And you know
really
what?
pleased.
They've got some great talent on that team. And how can you root against Nick Foles or I can't believe I'm saying this on television. But on
How can you root against them?
or
Yeah.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, and Nick Foles really has really done really well, and
Yeah.
really proud. Really
Yeah,
proud
that's
of
great.
our Eagles.
Well, good luck.
Thank
good
you.
luck. So we didn't come here to talk football, but we did come here to talk about Jeantel and you and
Mm-hmm.
how you got started and everything. But before the break, we were talking about, we're just getting into the future of
Mm-hmm.
wound care. I told you on the break, I mean, it's kind of an emotional feeling when you start to think
Mm-hmm.
about and probably see these patients, right, who are healing
Mm-hmm.
as a result of the products that you're manufacturing and marketing to these nursing homes.
Right.
That's got to be an awesome feeling.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah, not too many people can say that. by the
You know
way.
what? I told you in the beginning days it was the new car. At some point it changed into it's really making a difference. Making a difference for the most vulnerable population is what drives me. It makes me get up and come to work and lead a great company.
Yeah, that's great. Congratulations on
Thank
doing
you.
that. That's awesome. So tell us about the future of wound care. Where do you think it's all going? And as you said, the population's aging. At the break, I was telling you I have a family member who's got really thin, pliable skin, and we were golfing one day, and as he's swinging the club, his skin
Right.
tore from hitting the shaft of the club on his arm. He's not that old. He's 78 years old.
Sure.
But, what's going to happen over the next 5-10 years in wound care?
Well, wound care is part of health care. So I think in order to really answer that question, you have to figure out where's healthcare going. The delivery of healthcare. Everybody sees the change. I mean, you go to these urgent care clinics, you go to a family doctor, and you're seeing more and more computers. And I think that's all really a great thing. You need to have the access to healthcare, but the information. And the information, like a good doctor is a doctor that's got experience.
Right.
Well, we talked a little bit about Jeantel Fast Care. Jeantel Fast Care has evaluated over 1 million wounds. 1 million wounds that it has documented, that it has watched, it has seen the progression, whether it's getting worse, whether it's getting better, that has identified the characteristics of the wound and the products that are being used.
Wow.
So there's no doctor that has evaluated as many wounds as our computer technology. The benefit is, at some point, that computer technology is going to literally be able to render a treatment decision.
Wow.
And that's where, and it hasn't happened. People talk about telemedicine. It really hasn't happened, yet, but I think we are heading in that direction, and I think in 5 years you're going to see something, really different the way healthcare is handled. And Jeantel will certainly be in the forefront of that, and that's where we are different than our competition, because we recognize that there is going to be a big change. So as far as wound care, I mean, I think you're going to have more patients because again, people are living older. We're handling the heart.
Yeah.
Diabetes. Diabetic population is just continuing to grow, and even if you were able to resolve the increase in diabetic patients, you can't resolve the aging of the skin.
Right. Right.
But people are becoming more aware of wound care. I mean, we hear, family members before they look at a nursing home, coming in and saying, let me learn about your skin integrity program. Nursing homes have to document this. They have to document whenever there's a wound. They have to document when the wound occurs, or whether it was acquired coming in from the outside, or whether it developed in the actual facility. So that data is available. The more the people are aware of wound care, then you're going to really see some great changes happening.
Yeah. Over the next minute or so, tell us more about the details of Fast Care. How does it work? Because what I'm envisioning here is you said that the Fast Care product has evaluated or looked at over 1 million wounds.
Sure. Our clinicians and even our customer facilities, will come in and they can document the wound. Whereas that they're going to measure the wound, they're going to assess the wound, they're going to take a look at the drainage, and they input that information and the type of wound that it is, whether it's diabetic, pressure, bed sore.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they link a treatment to that.
Okay.
Okay, so, and then what you want to see is if they're going to evaluate that wound once a day or once a week or however often, and you want to see how that wound is changing. Either the dimensions of the wound or the drainage or ultimately getting into, to wound healing. Listen, the idea is not just to cover a wound, the idea is to get it to heal.
Exactly, yeah.
So you want to use the right product so that it's going to heal.
Right.
So then you can measure that over a period of time and then take that information and compare it.
So there's imaging too. You're actually, are you using an
Well,
iPad?
you can.
Okay.
You can. You can take a picture, but facilities, really are uncomfortable with picture taking.
okay,
So, but it's just literally putting that information in. Measurements and and other parts that are considered assessments.
Listen, this has been awesome. A great half hour. It flew by.
It did fly by.
I appreciate you coming here and sitting with me as my guest. Would you please tell the audience how to get in touch with you and Jeantel?
Sure.
All right.
My email address is dnavazio@Jeantel, GENTELL.com, or you can call our office at 215-788-2700.
David.
Mark, thank you. It's
You're
really
welcome.
a great pleasure
it was
being
a
here.
Pleasure. Yeah, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week again at 10:30 on Wednesday morning with my host as a host for Rainmaker's Roundup. Have a great week.